Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I think I may have figured this out here. Sorry about all
Okay.
that.
It's okay.
Okay, so I hate to do this, but let's go ahead and so if you could just go ahead, what was your name one more time and where you were originally from?
Erik Pizana, and I'm originally from Mexico.
Excellent. And then where did you come? Like, how did you come to U.S. and go back and forth?
I was 9 years old when my family decided to move to the U.S. And eventually I came back to Mexico when I went to pursue a further career in college, and it was way too expensive in the States, so I came back to Mexico to get a bachelor's degree that's just as worthy as one from the U.S. for a fraction of the price.
Perfect. And then what were some of the biggest challenges when you first came to the U.S. and then also when you went back to Mexico?
Languages. When I first came to the U.S., I knew absolutely no English, so it was quite a problem to learn it. I learned it in 3 months, and but it was still a challenge. And coming back, I think the biggest problem was again language, because the Spanish that I knew was really primitive. I guess if you could call that like a child, I guess would know,
Okay.
because all the time I was in the States.
Okay. Perfect. And then are you pretty much back to where you were with your Spanish back in Mexico, or?
Yeah, I'm at a quite fluent level in Spanish, both in Spanish and English. I would say a university level for both.
Okay, perfect. And then, how did you like cope with the language challenge? Really, did you do like schooling or classes?
When I went to the U.S., I had to go to a special school for as a ESL school for early or for new arrivals. So that was for 3 months that I had to do that, and
Okay.
then more just read by myself and stuff like that.
Do you still find like you have language challenges even when you're in Mexico right now?
No, not anymore.
Not
Like it
anymore.
wasn't coming back. It wasn't that much of a deal. It was more going to the U.S. But right now, it's no problems at all.
Okay. And do you plan on coming back to the U.S. anytime soon?
I usually visit every year,
Okay.
but I'm actually coming up in a week.
Oh,
But not probably not for a few years.
wow. Yeah, that'll be definitely cool to come back.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you miss most like about Mexico when you first came, and then also when you left back? What did you miss about the U.S.?
From Mexico, I guess it would be the food. Like, I mean, I usually ate Mexican food because my mom would prepare it, but there's just so much here in Mexico that it's part of the culture. And from the U.S., when I came back, nothing really, because right now with the internet, you get pretty much everything. I was always in touch with my friends, and I could get everything I needed.
Yeah, definitely, I can see that. I mean, sounds like everybody has fun over there, just based off the little bit of skyping that we've done.
Yeah.
Okay, and then did you have any like support services, like clubs or anything, like when you came to the U.S., or you were pretty much with your family, right?
Once again, I can hear.
So were when you came to the U.S., did you have like just family as support, or did you have like clubs or a group of friends or anything like that?
At first, it was just family. Then, as I went through school, I began to make friends, and I would, use that as a sport. And then eventually, well, I just started getting into extracurricular activities, and that helped a lot. But mainly family.
Mainly family. Do you mind talking a little bit about your family, like who's in your family and such like that?
Well, yeah, it's my immediate family is quite small. We're only five. I've got a mom, dad, older brother, younger sister. I'm the middle one. From my mom's side, there's my mom is the 11th person,
Oh wow.
and from my dad, it's the same. He's the 11th person. So families are quite big in Mexico, usually, especially in like smaller cities. Um, we're all Mexican, and yeah, it's from a big families, lots of love.
Lots of love. That's great. What do you probably miss most about the U.S.?
I miss, man, my friends, I guess. I mean, it's really, that's it. When I go back, it's to see my friends. And because usually when I was always with my family, and I guess the capitalism. I mean, you've got it's a lot way bigger over there. You can purchase whatever you want online, get it the next day, and that's still not possible here in Mexico.
Oh, yeah, that's gotta be definitely different and having to move back and have a little bit of challenge there.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a challenge, but it's something nice to have.
Yeah, convenience is always great.
Yeah.
All right. Now, did your family have a lot of like cultural shock when they moved over? Do you know, or were you still pretty young?
I guess the difficulties they could have had was just mainly language and coping with like racism, because even though it's pretty much far gone, it still exists. So we did have several episodes where we did suffer racism just because we were Mexican or just because we would speak Spanish.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Um, and then have you mainly use Skype for communication and such like that, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you do anything else like letter writing or just emails, mainly just internet stuff?
yeah, just stuff.
Okay, perfect. And then if a family was like in the same situation, what would you think about? I mean, if they were traveling to the U.S. and then back to Mexico.
I'd say all power to them. They can if they need it, to improve their life, and they're honest and hardworking, then I'm all for it.
Okay, perfect. Um, I'm trying to think because we've kind of gone through all the questions that I had. Was there maybe anything else about your experience moving back and forth that you would want to share? I know that's kind of
Mm,
random, but
yeah. Well, it's just that there's difficulties with everything. Moving over to the states, with language barriers and stuff like that. uh, you have to learn to cope. It's not that easy. People just think that like, oh, you come over here, learn the language, and that's that. But it's not. You have to. There's cultural differences in the states. It's all. If you have money, you get through it. If you don't, then you're pretty much screwed. You have to get like some sort of credit, and that was a bit difficult at first. And coming back really wasn't a problem, especially me being Mexican and just coming back is just going back home. So yeah, there really wasn't any problem coming back to Mexico. I mean, at first the language barrier, not even that. I mean, the problem was that I knew elementary school Spanish, and coming direct into a university, that was a little bit of a problem. But after a few months, it smoothed out.
okay.
So I guess that would be pretty much it.
All right. How are the schools different between the two countries?
It depends. I mean, it really does depend. The poverty gap here in Mexico is quite big. So, depending on the city you go to, is the style of living you see. For example, right here where I live, it's called Monterey, and it's not bad, not bad at all. It's you could compare it to a city in the U.S. with no problem at all. So the schools are fine, the education's great. You know, I guess the difference would be the economy. I mean, the U.S. definitely has a better economy than than the U.S. does. So
Okay.
that you can see a difference there.
All right. Cool. I'm trying to think if there's any other pressing things. I'm
What
trying
was
to.
that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
No, that's fine. I'm trying to think if there's any other pressing questions or just as far as like cultural differences. I mean, I know you mentioned racism, but was there besides language and racism? That's pretty much the two main things for you that you noticed.
Mm, no, I think that was pretty much it. I mean, perhaps, perhaps, I don't know. I mean, usually people here in Mexico are a lot friendlier, so I guess that part could be a barrier there. Because in Mexico, I mean, if you need something, there will always be people to help you out. And sometimes in the States, that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, people are a little more to themselves and doing their own thing.
Yeah, yeah. That's a lot. Because here in Mexico, things like usually in cities, everything's a lot denser. Everything's closer together, and the neighborhoods are like always together, and they help each other out. And the states, because the distances are further away, that's a lot more difficult.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Okay, well, and as far as like, I guess because it's right around holiday time, like, are there any like cultural holidays that you really enjoy that you like saw in the U.S. versus Mexico and such like that?
Well, no, the U.S. was basically, well, I guess Thanksgiving. There's no such thing here in Mexico. So that was one of those things that I saw different. And also here in Mexico, Mexico is a pretty big Catholic country. I mean, officially it's not Catholic, but most people are.
Okay.
And like 12th of December is celebrated because it's the day of the Virgin Mary here in Mexico. So that's that gets a lot of celebrations all over the country. I guess that's something that's different. And
Okay.
as for holidays, for example, in the US, the Cinco de Mayo is quite celebrated, whereas here in Mexico, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I've noticed, especially in the U.S., well, Reno mainly, it's more of a social drinking holiday more than anything else.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's not like that over in Mexico at all. It's pretty laid back.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another day. Like, we don't even get the day off, so.
All right, well, very cool. Well, um, I think that's pretty much exhausted all of my questions, unless there was any last things that you had. I mean, I can let you head to bed tonight.
Uh-huh. You're cutting off.
No worries. Were there any last minute things we were I'm kind of finished up with all of my questions, and then
Okay.
I'll let you get some sleep here in a bit.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so not much else that you can think of because I'm kind of out of my thought process.
Mm, well, no, it's just, it is different, but I think anyone could cope with it. Just as long as someone's willing to learn the languages, get over those barriers. Living here or in the US is really not that much of a deal. It's not that different. You just have to be open to the possibility.
Well, that's great advice. Well, thank you so much, Eric. And then let me go ahead. I'm gonna pause my recording here.